The rain was coming down hard, pouring relentlessly and making the road slippery beneath my worn tires. I still had an hour to go before I reached home, and with every passing moment, a rush of anger and confusion surged through me like a crashing wave. I wanted nothing more than to veer off the road and end everything, to escape the pain that was gnawing at me from the inside. But I couldn't do that. I had 2 kids who depended on me, who cared about me. I still had feelings for my wife, Jessica, deep and complicated as they were. I was in disbelief. Jessica, my kind and loving wife, couldn't possibly be cheating on me, right? The thought twisted my gut with dread. It seemed absurd to even entertain the idea, especially not with that guy, Matt. He was everything I wasn't: charismatic, smooth-talking, and always ready with a joke. It didn't make any sense. Soon, though, I would find out the truth. Glancing at the clock on the dashboard, I noted it was 5 p.m. on a Friday, November 14th, 2013. The sky was a dark, heavy gray, and the air was cold and damp, seeping through the cracked window of the old truck I was driving. I should have replaced the tires on this rusting beast ages ago. They were practically bald, begging for a dry patch of pavement. But this wasn't even my truck. Jessica wouldn't let me touch it. She thought it was too dangerous. I was only behind the wheel because my nephew, Tyler, needed my good truck for his errands. Tyler was a great kid. At 19 years old, fresh out of high school, he was full of ambition, planning to work for a year before heading off to college. He'd been helping me out for a while, but lately, with his sprained ankle, he'd mostly been relegated to chopping firewood for the winter. I admired his determination, but it felt like a weight on my shoulders, knowing I had to be there for him and for my kids. I'm just a regular guy. I work hard to support my family, to give them everything I didn't have growing up. I served in the Army Reserves, but I never went to war. My time was spent training and preparing for a battle that never came. I love my country deeply, but it's the daily battles at home that have me on edge tonight. This road felt extra dangerous with the rain hammering down and the visibility low. People drive like maniacs when the weather is like this. I was rushing, maybe too much. Tyler had told me if I hurried, I might reach my destination in time. But where was I heading, exactly? A motel off Interstate 81 in Pennsylvania. And who would I find there? My wife, Jessica, and her so-called friend, Matt. I had to get there and stop her before it was too late. Tyler had been keeping an eye on Jessica's friendship with Matt for a few weeks now. Matt was always lingering around Jessica, cracking jokes and charming her with his easy smile. Nothing had happened yet, but tonight felt different, like a storm brewing on the horizon, ready to unleash its fury. Suddenly, I realized my gas tank was running low. I pulled into a gas station, the neon lights flickering in the downpour, and filled up the tank. The rain drummed against the metal roof of the station, drowning out my thoughts. I needed to call Tyler. I dialed his number, my hands shaking slightly as I gripped the phone. "Hey, Uncle," he answered, his voice cheerful despite the circumstances. "What's going on with Jessica and Matt?" I asked, trying to keep my tone steady, but the worry slipped through the cracks. "I don't know, man. They've been spending a lot of time together. Just be careful, okay?" I felt a chill creep down my spine as the situation tore at me from the inside. Jessica was a strong woman. We had been married for 15 years, a lifetime built on shared dreams and quiet moments. And now, it felt like everything was crumbling around me. We had 2 wonderful kids, Mia and Lucas, who deserved better than to witness their parents' disintegration. I still loved her, but the confusion and hurt tangled together, making it hard to breathe. As I hung up, I stared out into the rain-soaked night, realizing that whatever awaited me at that motel would change everything. My heart pounded in my chest as I shifted into gear, determined to confront the truth, no matter how painful it might be. We first crossed paths at the Apple Festival near Gettysburg in 1995. The air was filled with the sweet scent of cinnamon and fried dough, but all I could focus on was the long line for those infamous sweet potato fries that Jessica was serving. I had never been a fan of them, and my impatience bubbled over. "This line is ridiculous," I exclaimed, a hint of frustration in my voice. Just then, a playful voice chimed in, and before I knew it, she swung her umbrella at me, laughing. If you don't like my fries, why are you even in line? She shot back, a smirk dancing on her lips. I couldn't help but retort, who do you think you are, the queen of fried snacks? My sister, who had been waiting in line with me, seized the moment to introduce us. Jessica looked at me with a glint of amusement in her eyes and said, "Little brother, huh? Looks like you found yourself in Munchkinland." That was just the beginning. We spent the next few minutes trading witty banter, and I was immediately taken with her spirit. Just a few weeks earlier, my college girlfriend had moved to California, leaving me feeling adrift and a bit lost. Jessica, on the other hand, was dealing with her own issues. Her last boyfriend had been unfaithful, leaving her wary and setting her standards high. She was unwilling to settle for anything less than she deserved. After a year of dating, I finally found the courage to ask her to marry me. My heart raced as I knelt on one knee, anxiously holding the ring in front of her. To my relief, she said yes, her eyes sparkling with joy. We celebrated with a beautiful church wedding and honeymooned in Niagara Falls, surrounded by the cascading waters and a sense of promise for our future together. Everything felt perfect, like a fairy tale come to life. But now, as I stood in that gas station, filling my tank and grabbing a coffee, I struggled to wrap my head around what was happening in my life. How could Jessica even think about someone like Matt? It didn't add up, and the nagging feeling of betrayal weighed heavily on my chest. Determined to uncover the truth, I called Tyler again. "She's with Matt," he confirmed, his voice laced with concern. They checked into the motel. The news crushed me. I couldn't believe it. My heart felt like it had shattered into a million pieces. I had to get to the bottom of this. I couldn't just sit back and let it happen. I needed to find out what was going on, so I headed straight for the motel. As I drove, anxiety gripped me. I pulled over to call my mom. "Is Jessica home?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. "No, she went out. She said she'd return before you did," she replied casually, but her words sent a jolt of certainty through me. That sealed it. She was definitely with Matt. A knot formed in my throat, a mixture of anger and desperation. I had to reach the motel quickly. When I arrived at the motel, I parked my car and spotted Tyler waiting for me outside. His face was tense, and I could tell he had been anxious about the situation. "Matt's gone," he said grimly. "Jessica's still inside." My heart raced as I walked toward the room, each step feeling heavier than the last. I knocked on the door, but no one answered. I knocked again, louder this time, desperation creeping into my voice. "I told you to go away," a muffled voice shouted from inside. I knocked harder, saying, "It's not who you think it is." My heart pounded in my chest as the door cracked open, revealing a woman holding a weapon. My instincts kicked in, and I raised my hands, trying to show I meant no harm. "I'm not the police," I assured her. She lowered the weapon slightly, eyeing me warily. "Are you sure you're not the police?" she asked, skepticism written all over her face. "Yes," I replied, my voice steady. "I think I'm the husband of the woman you were pretending to be." Her expression shifted to confusion. "What do you mean by that?" she asked. "The guy you were with earlier made a bet that he could seduce my wife before Thanksgiving," I explained, urgency creeping into my words. "It seems he hired you instead." She nodded slowly. "Yeah, he's a real piece of work," she said, her expression softening slightly. I could feel the weight of the situation hanging over us, but I also sensed an opportunity. I asked her for help to expose Matt, and to my surprise, she agreed. Together, we headed to the country club where Matt was boasting about his so-called success. As we approached, I felt a surge of adrenaline. I was ready to confront him, ready to expose the truth in front of everyone. When we finally confronted him, the look of humiliation on his face felt incredible. In that moment, it became clear that no matter how dark the path ahead seemed, I was willing to fight for my family and reclaim the love I feared I might lose. As I walked out of the country club, a swirl of anger and relief coursed through me, each emotion battling for dominance in my mind. The confrontation with Matt had left me reeling, my heart still pounding with adrenaline and my thoughts racing. I needed to gather myself and focus on what truly mattered, my family. I had to set things right with Jessica, I needed to reclaim the love and trust that had been shaken. The drive home felt longer than usual, my mind consumed by the events of the day. I replayed the confrontation in my head, the shock on Matt's face, and the resolve I felt as I stood up for my marriage. Yet, despite the exhilaration of standing my ground, a nagging worry clung to me. I had to find a way to reconnect with Jessica, to reassure her that our bond could weather any storm. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the house was brightly lit, a stark contrast to the darkness of my troubled thoughts. Cars were parked all over the place, and a wave of curiosity washed over me. What was happening? Was there a gathering I wasn't aware of? A sense of foreboding mingled with excitement as I approached the front door, where I could hear voices and laughter spilling out into the night. I opened the door, and a chorus of voices erupted. Surprise! My heart raced, a mix of shock and joy flooding through me. There stood Jessica, her face radiant, beaming at me with a beautifully decorated cake in her hands, the candles flickering brightly. "Happy birthday, darling!" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with happiness. "We've been waiting for you." In that moment, I was taken aback, the realization hitting me like a wave. I had completely forgotten my own birthday amid all the chaos. I looked around in disbelief, seeing my family and friends gathered, their faces filled with warmth and excitement, all there to celebrate me. A rush of love and gratitude washed over me, melting away the anger and confusion that had occupied my mind just moments before. Jessica stepped forward, wrapping her arms around me tightly, her embrace a balm for my troubled heart. "I wanted to make this day special for you," she whispered, her voice soft and sincere. "I hope you like it." The affection in her words ignited a flicker of hope within me. As I gazed into her eyes, I could see the love and sincerity shining through, a reminder of the deep connection we shared. In that moment, I realized that our love was more resilient than any challenge we faced. Together, we had navigated this rough patch, and our bond felt stronger than ever. The shadows of doubt and fear began to dissipate, replaced by a warmth that enveloped me like a comforting blanket. As we celebrated my birthday, surrounded by laughter and joy, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for my family and friends. Their presence was a reminder that true happiness stems from the love of those who surround us. In that room, filled with light and love, I understood that the struggles I had faced were part of a larger journey, one that led me back to the heart of what mattered most, the relationships I cherished. The festivities continued, with cake being served and heartfelt toasts shared. My heart swelled as I listened to the words of encouragement and love from my closest friends and family. They spoke of memories we had shared and the adventures that lay ahead, reinforcing the notion that I was not alone in this journey. Each laugh and cheer reminded me of the life we had built together, a life worth fighting for. Amidst the joy, I couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was a turning point. I resolved to prioritize my family, to nurture the love and trust that Jessica and I had worked so hard to build. With each passing moment of the celebration, I felt my commitment to her deepen. I wanted to make things right, to show her that I would always choose her, no matter what challenges came our way. As the evening wore on, I found myself reflecting on how love can triumph over adversity. Surrounded by the people who meant the most to me, I realized that, together, we could overcome anything. I embraced Jessica, pulling her close, grateful for this beautiful moment that reminded me of the strength we had as a couple. It dawned on me that this was just the beginning of a renewed commitment to each other, a promise to cherish and uplift one another in all our future endeavors. The following morning, I woke up feeling revitalized and profoundly thankful. The events from the day before had left a deep impression on my heart and mind, serving as a powerful reminder of what truly mattered. I felt a renewed commitment to valuing my family and making the most of every moment we had together. Gone were the days of taking them for granted. I was ready to embrace the beauty of our shared experiences. As I made my way to the kitchen, the aroma of fresh coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and chatter from the dining room. I joined Jessica and the kids at the breakfast table, and an immediate sense of calm washed over me. The sight of my family, smiling and animated, filled me with warmth. We discussed our plans for the day, bouncing ideas off one another with excitement. I couldn't help but feel incredibly fortunate to have such a caring family, a support system that always had my back. "Let's go on a hike," I suggested, feeling inspired by the beauty of the world outside our windows. The kids cheered in response, their enthusiasm infectious. Jessica smiled, her eyes sparkling with delight, and I knew we were all eager to escape into nature together. We quickly packed a picnic basket filled with sandwiches, fruits, and refreshing lemonade, making sure to include everyone's favorites. With the essentials in tow, we set off to a nearby park, ready for an adventure. As we strolled through the woods, I found myself mesmerized by the beauty of nature surrounding us. The vibrant colors of autumn painted the landscape in hues of orange, red, and gold. Leaves crunched beneath our feet, and the cool, crisp air filled my lungs, invigorating me with each breath. The sounds of rustling leaves and distant birdsong created a serene soundtrack that enveloped us, making the moment feel even more special. We finally found a quiet spot by the river, the water shimmering under the midday sun. We laid out our blanket on the grassy bank and settled down to enjoy our picnic. As we indulged in sandwiches and shared stories, laughter rang out like music. The kids splashed around in the water, their giggles blending with the gentle flow of the river, while Jessica and I sat back, basking in the warmth of our family's joy. I watched her smile as she interacted with the kids, and my heart swelled with appreciation for the life we had built together. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over everything. It was a sight to behold, the way the light danced on the water's surface, reflecting the warmth of the day. As we packed up our belongings, I felt a sense of tranquility and fulfillment that I hadn't experienced in a long time. The stress and worries that had once consumed my thoughts seemed to fade away, replaced by a deep sense of gratitude for the simple pleasures of life. On our way home, I glanced at Jessica and the kids, who were animatedly chatting about their favorite moments from the hike. I realized that I needed to treasure these moments with my family because they truly were life's greatest gifts. Each shared smile, each burst of laughter, and each tranquil moment spent together painted a picture of happiness that I wanted to hold onto forever. As we pulled into the driveway, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was determined to make the most of every day with my family, to prioritize our time together, and to build memories that would last a lifetime. The struggles we faced were still there, but they felt more manageable now, overshadowed by the love and support surrounding me. That night, as I tucked the kids into bed, I took a moment to soak in the peacefulness of the house. I leaned down to kiss them goodnight, whispering words of love and encouragement. I knew that we were all on this journey together, and no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them as a united front. As I settled in beside Jessica later that evening, I held her close and whispered my gratitude for the day we had shared. Her smile lit up the dimly lit room, and I felt a sense of contentment enveloping us. In that moment, I understood that no matter the circumstances, family would always be my greatest source of strength and joy. As the days turned into weeks, the memory of what happened at the country club began to fade into the background of our lives. Life returned to a comfortable rhythm, where the mundane became beautiful in its simplicity. Jessica and I reveled in the joy of spending time with the kids, tackling various projects around the house, and enjoying the quiet moments we shared together. The bond between us felt stronger than ever, and each day was a reminder of our resilience and love. One crisp evening, as we sat by the crackling fire in our living room, I pulled Jessica close to me, feeling the warmth of her body against mine. The flickering flames cast a soft glow, illuminating her features and highlighting the joy in her eyes. "I want to thank you for everything," I said, my voice sincere. "You've been my rock, always there when I need you." Jessica smiled warmly, her expression filled with affection. "I love you, Michael. I'm so happy we've gotten through this together." Her words resonated with me, and I realized how much we had overcome as a couple. The challenges we faced had only deepened our connection, and I felt grateful to have her by my side. That night, we talked for hours, sharing our dreams and aspirations for the future. We spoke of places we wanted to visit, experiences we wanted to have, and the kind of life we envisioned for our family. It was a conversation filled with laughter, excitement, and an understanding that no matter what life threw at us, we would face it together. As we fell asleep, I felt a deep sense of peace and happiness that I hadn't felt in a long time. It was as if the world had fallen away, leaving only us and the dreams we held close to our hearts. The following weekend, we decided to escape our daily routine with a short getaway to the beach. We rented a cozy little cottage that felt like a hidden gem, nestled among swaying palm trees and just a stone's throw from the sandy shore. The sound of waves crashing against the beach filled the air, instantly calming my spirit. We spent our days swimming in the ocean, soaking up the sun, and building sandcastles that rose high with the help of the kids' enthusiastic laughter. Their joy was infectious, and Jessica and I delighted in watching them explore and create. One evening, while we sat on the beach, the sky transformed into a canvas of oranges, pinks, and purples as the sun began to set. It was a breathtaking sight, one that felt almost surreal. I turned to Jessica, who was gazing at the horizon, and I couldn't help but express my gratitude. "I'm so lucky to have you by my side. You're the best thing that has ever happened to me," I said, my heart full. She turned to me, her eyes sparkling in the fading light. "I feel the same way, Michael. I love you." Her words wrapped around me like a warm embrace, and in that moment, I knew that our love was a treasure that would only continue to grow stronger with each passing day. As the sun sank below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the ocean, I reflected on how far we had come. The struggles we faced in the past felt distant, overshadowed by the love that enveloped us now. The peacefulness of the beach, combined with the laughter of our children playing in the sand, created a perfect backdrop for our love story. That night, as we settled into our cottage, I held Jessica close, feeling grateful for the life we had built together. Each moment we spent together was a reminder of the love and support we provided each other, and I couldn't help but feel excited about what the future held for us. The challenges we had faced had taught us valuable lessons, and now we were ready to embrace whatever came next, together. With the sound of the ocean lulling us to sleep, I realized that life's greatest adventures were not just in the grand gestures, but in the quiet moments spent with the ones we loved. And as long as I had Jessica and our children by my side, I knew I would always be home,